How's it going, Amazon? It's your professor here today to talk to you guys about JavaScript, JSON. So JSON allows us to import, export our objects to other systems. JSON is a format for storing data. JSON is a very popular format because its simplicity and how it's easy to transfer from data to JSON to other systems. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. So JSON is simply an organized string of text. Data is organized into label and a value. The JSON object can have many label value pairs as shown below. So some things I forgot to talk about you guys today is that we're going to go over the whole lesson 10. Lesson 10 is going to be very long. And it's going to talk about Json, Ajax, and then you guys are going to do a laboratory work for that. We're going to go move over to JSON error handling. We're going to do some laboratory work for that. And then we're going to do SPA versus MPA. So go ahead and check out this code right here. It starts off from first name, Jim. You have your strings. And then let's go down. So this looks very similar to JS objects we're seeing and work with. This is because JSON is intended to be the way to import, export data between plain text data and objects. The important thing to understand is that when data is in JSON format, it's just text. We can't add methods to a JSON or create variables in our JSON. It's just plain data. However, JSON gives us an easy way to convert this text data into an object so we can work with it. Or export our objects so that other systems can use it. So JSON can also contain many records shown in the next example. Again, here we start off with people. Here you have your strings. And then we go ahead and have like a lot of informations and metas and datas, and here we are able to collect it and use it and verify that it's we could parse from these type of files. So here we also have a JSON file that has 2 levels deep. The first JSON is people and its value is list of JSON objects. JSON can be stored in a JSON text file, which makes it very portable. JSON data can be created and edited with simple text editor and used by JavaScript. So JavaScript has 2 built-in methods for working with JSON. The first method is parse, which takes a JSON string as input and turns it into a JavaScript object. The second method is stringify. This is a great code which converts a JavaScript object into a JSON text. So JSON provides us with a great way to import, export data into JS. This is a typical case. Number 1, there is some data on a server that you will want to pull and display on your page. Number 2, we'll use an HTTP GET request to get the JSON from the server. JavaScript allows us to create a GET request by using the XML HTTP request method. We'll use this method anytime you need to send and receive data from a web server using JavaScript. So in number 3, in JavaScript, we issue a request to get the JSON data. The data arrives in as a JSON string. We'll parse the JSON string to convert it into a JavaScript object. Now we're ready to work with it. So sending data works the opposite way. Number 1, we have a JavaScript object. We want to push the web server as data. Number 2, we convert it to JSON text with stringify. Number 3, we send the data to the web server using the HTTP post method. So to learn more, we'll go ahead and check out this website right here, developed by Masa Organization. And here we have JavaScript Notation as a standard text-based format for representing structured data based on the JavaScript object syntax. It is commonly used for transmitting data in web applications, sending some data from the server to the client so it can be displayed on the web page or vice versa. You'll come across quite often, so in this art we'll give you a little bit of feedback. So here's the prerequisites and the objective. Just a little bit more info about JSON. All right, so let's go ahead. Get into the key terms that you must know, which are JSON. We will be using XML HTTP request. We'll be using that, and parse and stringify. And let's go ahead and dive over to 10.2, Ajax. All right, so here Ajax is a behind the scene HTTP request. Ajax is a tool that gives a way to send data to and receive data from the web server. JS can use Ajax to get or send data without the web page being reloaded. Being able to get new data from the web server without completely reloading the currently page is very useful. Most commonly, we will request JSON data from a web server. So below is some sample code that we'll get from a web server and update the page. We'll walk through it line by line. So here, see this mental note right here. So here first we start off with a function, Ajax request, and then we'll go ahead and have a variable. Now we have an X HTTP equals new XML HTTP request. There we'll have our on ready stage change, and we'll have it declare as a function. And here we have a if the statement is equal to 4. If this conditional is 4 and this is equal to 200, you get a perfect response from this text. And here we're just going to open up a resource from this website right here, and here it's going to send the data to and from. So here you have your step, your code, or your explanation in simple English. Number 1, variable XHTTP equals new XML request. All Ajax request starts with creating a variable and setting it to a new XML HTTP request. Ajax is the HTTP request. Here, this is just says make a request. Number 2, skip for a moment will come. So don't worry about this right now. This is what you don't have to worry about this yet. So let's go skip on over to number 3, which is http.open. Here you have get https http bin.org/get. Open means a connection will use http get, and our web server is at an address listed. Go ahead and open the connection. Number 4, http.send. Fire the request. We'll ask for the server for its data. Send the request and get the results. To a http.onReady stage change equals function. Next steps. Now that the request has been sent, now we will want to know the response on ready stage change. We'll hold the response to work with the ready state, and we'll set it equal to the name of this function. Results are in, and the results function starts. So 2b, if this is the ready state, and if it's equal to 4 and this status equal to 200, this is gonna equal to 4 in status. This means the request complete and HTTP returned OK. Now this is the meaning. Only run this code if the HTTP response is complete and is OK. To see, go ahead and check out this right here. Document.getElementById target.enter HTML equals, this is the response text. Over here, change the XML for our element to the Ajax response text, and this is the code I want to perform on the data. Alright, so number 1, JS can use Ajax to get the new data from a server for us without reloading the page. It can update the page with the new data. Number 2, JavaScript can use Ajax to send data as well. The reason we had to write this right here before writing the http.send is because we have to say that we will want to happen before sending the request. The function defines what we want to happen when the results come in. After the request is sent, the function triggers. So open the course file ajax.html to see an example of Ajax working. The example HTML file pulls data from the National Weather Service after the page reloads. So key terms here you will want to remember is XML HTTP request. That's very important. And then Ajax. So lesson files, go ahead and download this lesson file right here, ajax.html. And if you want to go ahead and check out some more additional resources, go ahead and go to developer.mozilla.org. Here it just talks to you about some documentation about what are Ajax. So remember this part, this is asynchronous. So that's what a lot of people is going to ask you guys about. What's the asynchronous programming in JavaScript? You then talk about Ajax, JavaScript, and XML. Okay, so first off, you go ahead and start from your doc type. You pull up our Ajax. And in here we have HTML head. And then we have a lot of our data and meta informations here. So here we have, go ahead and do your initial scale to 1.0. And then start off with your title, Ajax, obviously, asynchronous. And then here we have our code. Width and height, set it to 500 pixels. And then we're going to have a styling. In here, you can also, differentiate to a CSS. Here you have your, so here we have our ID button 1. We have a width to 75 pixels. That's all I need for CSS. And then we're going to drop down to our content, which is, our HTML. Here we go ahead and have our head Ajax. We have our ID equals target. And then we also have an input type equals button, ID button 1. On click, Ajax request, values equal to request data. And then inside of JavaScript, we also have functions. Ajax request, variable x HTTP equals new HTTP request. We go ahead and use the on ready stage change equals functions. If this is the ready state equals 4, this status equal to 200, that means it's okay, it's good to go. And then we can also have an xttp.open get HTTPS weather. Here we can just grab that resource from this website, which is true, and it will have a send. And you go ahead and open this, and it will just tell you the raw data of all the informations pertaining to APA weather.gov. So that's what's going to open, send and data. We go ahead and end that JavaScript functions from there. And if we go ahead and pull up from our terminal, go ahead and change our directory. So you could just use cd. Here I'll go ahead and go into my users, go into my folder. From here I could open up a desktop, go into my Amazon full stack directory, and then from here we're gonna change our SD1101 cd to lab 10. Open up our files. What we have ajax.html. Go ahead and open that. So here we can request the data, and there we're sending and receiving data from that website that we pulled from earlier. Okay, so that's going to be on 10.2. Let's go ahead and switch it over to 10.3. And this is going to be a little bit about your lab work, Json and Ajax. So in this lab, we'll show you step by step on how to pull data from Json file and populate HTML with the data. This is a challenging lab, as I know. So we want to talk to you and walk through it. Study this code. Go ahead and detail it. Pay attention to details, and also go ahead and do some of the redundancy over it again. And then try to recreate it on your own. It's important to understand exactly how it works. If you understand what the code does, then you reach a major milestone to understand web development. We created a JSON file that has a list of beverage products and made it publicly available on GitHub. To view the file on GitHub, go ahead and just visit this link. So here you can just open this link, and here it will just pull up a version control of a GitHub repository. And here you can just check out some of the source code given from GitHub. And right now I'm just using a git command from Windows, as you can see. Now this is the raw JSON version found here. You can open this website also, and that'll give you the raw data from that website. So here you just have your products, and then here you'll have all your product name, serving, and then your QTY, prices, and just reiterates itself over. So there's many ways you could do this. So go ahead, number one, begin by downloading the JS template.html file as a starting point for this lab. Number 1A, delete the div element from the HTML, but keep the button. 2, create a table in the HTML file. So below here, the table will have 5 columns and 5 rows. 1 row, 4 rows of our JSON data, 5 columns for each field in the JSON. Apply a nice CSS formatting of your choice to the data. The first row will be column headings and have a value, product name, serving, package, price, QTY. The remaining rows will display the data values that comes from JSON file. Alright, so that's going to be our lab for 10.3. So to do this, we recreate the following HTML code. So here you have your table ID equals table. You have your TR, which is table row. Go ahead and just put this down in your VS Code. And then one of the tips I would recommend is that you could just copy and paste your table data over and over again. So make it 3 times. Now, so notice for each of the cell in the table, we'll assign cell 1 to 1 5 classes. Every cell in the first column has a class of product. Every cell in the second column has a class of servant, and so on. So right now on our HTML looks like the shown below. We'll already apply some of the CSS to the table, but you can add the CSS you want. So here for the 10.3 lab, our next step is to update the table styles with the data from JSON file in the GitHub. Update the JSON function to do the following: send an XML HTTP request to the GitHub to get the JSON data. Store the JSON data in the variable. Update each element of the table with the JSON data. To do this, we'll write the following code in our JS function. So here you'll have your function, JS function. Document.get element by ID table dot style visibility equals visible. So here you'll have your variable request URLs equals go ahead and just have that URL, copy it into your code, and you have your request dot now equal to the new XML, and then you go ahead and open it. Request to the on ready stage change equals a function, console log it out, and then have your if statement. If this is equal to 4, this means that the conditional must be met and okay and completed. So number one, first we'll create a variable called request URL. It will hold a URL we'll want to pull our JSON data from. Then create a variable called request, which will be a new Ajax XML HTTP request. 3, finally we'll call the open method to get the URL request URL. Our web connection to the GitHub is open. Number 4, the next block of code will happen when the HTTP GET request is complete. Keep in mind we'll not send our request yet. So request.onReadyStage tracks the status of our HTTP request. We'll always write request onReadyStage equal function. This let us assign a function tell JS what we'll want to do when the data once is ready. This is known as the callback. Because we only care about the data, what that is ready, we'll write an if statement. If this is ready is equal to 4, then the status is 200. Now you guys go back into the code and error handling. You guys will know that 200 means okay. This tells JS only execute if the HTTP request is ready and okay. This means if there was a network error and the request did not transmit, the code will not execute. So next we'll get to our JSON data. We'll create a variable JSON data and send it to this response text. Response text tells the JSON returned by the rep request. It's helpful to log this to the console to see that we did not get our JSON data. So next we'll need to change our JSON text into a JSON object with the parse JSON data. So let the go ahead and write some of these codes down. So let product columns equals document.get element by class name product. Have a for loop. In your for loop you're gonna have an iteration. Let p equals 0. P's should be smaller than product columns.length for your array, and then go ahead and keep incrementing your p. So here your HTML that equals product columns p, and then your inner HTML, go ahead and just pull it out from your object there dot products. Next we'll create a variable called product columns. This variable uses get element by class name to get all your HTML elements with the class product. This is what we assign all the cells in the columns 1 in the class product. Next we'll create a for loop. For each HTML element that belongs to class products, we'll set the inner HTML value to matching the product's product name from my JS objects. This works because we know that the number of records in our products array will create an equal number of HTML rows in our table. Finally, there's nothing left to do but repeat the process for each of the columns. Now we'll just do the same thing for each of the remaining HTML classes and the products objects key. So you go ahead and just copy and paste the same thing for each of the things like servings, package, and the list goes down like pricing, all that stuff. We can improve our code by creating a larger loop that goes through all of our classes, but we left it so we can create a better understanding of what the code is doing. A good challenge for you is to figure out how to create a loop for this so that we do not repeat our code. So lastly, at the end of the script, we must remember to run the request send. Without this, the request will not execute. The code on the onReady sub function will not fire. So you have your request send. Congratulations. If you understand what's done in an example, then you really understand how JavaScript works and how the web server and creating a dynamic HTML. So to summarize, you just have your full stack package right there. So to summarize, what we accomplished is that we had data in the JSON format on the web server GitHub. We used JS to call the web server and make a request to get the data using Ajax without reloading the page. Number 3, when the data has returned from the web server, we process the data and display it nicely on our page in a table format. So here, go ahead and open your file, download the solution. I'm pretty sure you guys don't have a solution, so go ahead and just practice on your own, get familiar with some of the codings, and search up Ajax. All right. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. So we just open the Ajax part. So for 10.3, right? So here we're going to create a new file. First start off with your doc type. So let's go save this right here, right? So here we'll go save this as a 10.3.html. have our doc type, our HTML. Inside our HTML, we'll have our head. And then inside the head, right, we'll have our meta. So here you have your meta car set is equal to UTF-8. Close it off. Our next meta name is equal to viewport. So go ahead and type in viewport. Content, right? Initial scale. So here our content would equal to head. Oh no, we need our width, so we'll just put in width equal device width so here we'll have initial equal to 1.0. Have our other meta, which is meta name keyword. Is equal to HTML. Let's go ahead and have a training. Lessons. So that's what we're doing. We're doing lessons. And then templates. End it off. That's good. Have our meta language. Alright. en.us. End it off. Perfect. Okay, so here we're also gonna make a CSS, right? So here let's go ahead and link it. Link href equals cs 10.3 CSS. Close it off. All right, so here we have our cascading styles. And also after our head, let's do our title. So here we'll have our title. And our title would be 10.3 lab. So let's go open our cascade. Here we'll have, let's go see what we could do. So create a cascade, create a CSS, and then we already linked it. So here we'll have our table. Curly open brackets, have our border to 5 pixel, solid light gray. We'll have it to light gray, end it off. Let's have our border collapse. Our border collapse will collapse. End it off. Let's go have our width 50 viewport. View width. All right. Our visibility. Visible. And then we're going to have our table row 9th child. And then we're going to, correctly have it evenly distributed for this 9th child. And then we're also going to have it correct, distributed for the odd data. So here we'll have our even. So here we'll have even Let's go ahead and have our open curly brackets. Background color. To light sky blue, I guess. Light sky blue. That'll look good. All right. Okay, so where it ended off right there. Light sky blue. Let's go have another one that we just talked about earlier. Our table row 9 child. So messed up on the code, so that would have been a bug. So go back up, put that as a semicolon. Same thing. 9 child. Put it odd. From there, we go ahead and put it the same way, background color to light gray. Let's go back. Light gray, perfect. Let's go have our TH table headings. So here we'll have our table headings to background color white. And then our table cells or data, whatever you want to call it, have our border to 1 pixel, solid black. Okay, so we also forgot to mention that also need an ID for a button. So here we're going to create an ID. So here we're going to have an ID button, open curly, have a width to 75 pixels. Let's have our margin to auto. Okay, we gotta close it off. Margin auto, float it to the right. Padding, let's go have it to 1 mod. All right. So that should be at the end of our styling. So get back to our HTML. Let's continue our HTML from here. So here we'll have a body. Create your body, body tag. From your body tag, you're gonna have your content, your data, all that stuff that's gonna be inside. Let's go do our heading, which is 10.3 lab. Whatever you want to have your heading be called. All right. Now we're going to have our input tag, input type equals button. Our ID is equal to button. And then you're going to have your on click is equal to, let's call this JavaScript function. All right. Oh yeah, so we also got to put it in a parentheses. So let's create an argument there. And then we're also going to have a value. Value is equal to execute JS. So we're going to also have this in quotations. JS. All right, and then we'll end it off with the input type. We'll have our table now. Table ID is equal to table. TR. Table row, and then our table row, we're gonna have our table headings, which are product name. All right, we're gonna have we're also gonna have another table heading, which is serving. Let's go ahead and make another one called package. Let's go have another one called price. Oops, delete that. Another heading. for price. And then we're also going to have another one for QTY. Right. Then we're going to end it off. End off our table. No, we still got to do our classes. So we got to make sure we have our classes, right? So in here, we got to make sure we have our table data class is equal to product. Right. So here we'll have our product. End it off. Same thing. TD class equal serving. End it off. Table class. Table class. So also we need our package. So we have our package, and then we need our price, right? So here again, table data class equals price. And then we need our QTY, right? So here table data class is equal to QTY. Now, earlier we were just talking about we could just copy and paste this 3 times if you wanted to, and then just end it off within your table. So here we'll go ahead and copy and paste this. All right, so there you'll have about 3 classes. All right, so next thing we got to do is create a JavaScript file. So go ahead, let's go create a JavaScript file. All right, so here let's go have our function. Oh, I don't know what happened. Okay, function. Our function JS function parentheses open bracket document dot get element by ID, have it table dot style dot visibility equal, or we could do it in one code, doesn't visible. Close it. Let's go ahead and open another one, which is variable request URL, variable request URL equals here we're going ahead and open our HTTPS. So here HTTPS / raw, is it raw GitHub? Can't remember the website. It's I think it's raw.github user content.com / act web dev / sd11, so sd101 / 11, right, / master / my data.json. All right, so go ahead and we'll end that off right there. Let's go see if that links works. Let's open it. It's probably 1101. Let's try that. We'll just copy and paste this, right? Just copy and paste this into our code. That should work. Oh, is this one? Sorry. Copy and paste the raw JSON version here into the VS Code. All right. Thought I had it right. This was 101. So let's go check if that link opens. Okay, it does. So here we're able to parse that file. Let's get down to our next one, which is variable request equals new XML document. Let's do, it's supposed to be HTTP request dot open. Go ahead and do get. So we have a get, and then we'll have a request URL. End it off. We'll have our results. So request dot on ready state. So we're going to use our on ready state change. Here we're going to have our function. All right, we have our function. Have a parentheses, open curly brackets. We're gonna go ahead and pop it out into the console. So here we'll have our console.log. This is ready. State, right? This is ready state. And then we're gonna have it plus this states this status plus this dot status dot text. All right, let's go ahead and end it off with that. Let's go ahead and make a conditional statement. So if this is ready state is equal 4, and this status is equal to 200, let's go open it up another curly bracket. Variable Json data is equal to this response text. End it off. Console log it out. Json data. All right, and then also have your variable object data. So here I have your variable object data equal to JSON dot parse Json data let product columns equal to document dot get element by ID. Oh no, we could get elements by class name. All right, we're gonna use that. Get element by class name. So this is gonna be our product. All right. Go ahead and end it off. Let's go have a for loop in there. So here for, let's go have an iteration for let p is equal to 0. End it off. P must be product columns dot length. End it off. P plus plus. And then have another function in there. Open it up. HTML equal product columns. So we're gonna have our array P. And it off. HTML dot. So it's gonna have a inner text, right? Inner HTML.inner HTML equals object data dot products. Have an array P dot product name. Oh. End it off. Then also we're also gonna have our let. So we're gonna declare a let serving columns equal document dot get element by class name again. Here we'll go call it serving. Okay, so here you could just actually copy and paste this if you wanted to. Once we get a little bit more, well, you can't do this right now, but you'll see once we get down there. So here you will have your let, and then our let we're gonna need a for loop, right? So let's see. So here we're gonna have a for loop for let p is equal to 0. If p is equal to 0, p must be smaller than serving columns dot length. So that's our array. End it off, and then p is going to increment up again. Have it open. So HTML. So we're back to our P++. We also needed, so we have an open function. We're gonna not open it, but we'll also have our HTML, equals serving columns, and have our P HTML again, the inner HTML equal object data dot products. Products P dot serving. Boom. So that should be closed off. So for this part, you just copy and paste this like about 3 times. So this is going to talk about you got to do your serving. After which you're gonna do. Let's go see. So we're gonna copy. Let's see if a perfect way. So yeah, that'd be perfect. Cut and paste. So here we have a product, right? And product serving. Go ahead and edit it out. Package. Product serving package. So here you want to switch this over to package. So after which you have your 10.3 JS, 10.3 cascading style, and your content for HTML. Go ahead and pull it up. Open it up, and here you will have your product name, serving, package, price, Q2Y, and here it will just show your execute JS, and here you have your Coke, Pepsi, 7-Up, and Coors Light. All right, let's go ahead and get over to 10.4 JS error handling. So here, errors happen, we must handle them to prevent problems. Errors will happen. Errors handling involves adding additional code to your scripts to look for errors and resolve them to prevent unintended and unexpected behavior. JS performs error handling similar to most other languages by using a combination of keywords throw, try, catch, and finally throw. So throw, what is it? So throw allows to generate an error. This is called throwing an error. Why would we want to do this? So the most common reasons are to detect when a problem is about to happen, to prevent it, to give the user a friendly message to let them know they made an error and to need to try again. Number 3, to let the users or something unexpected happen and give them information to troubleshoot with. So for example, Say a user is making a payment online and they enter -50, right? As a payment amount, if you don't want to plan for this, the system might try to process a negative payment. So the software might even credit the user the money if not programmed well, right? So we could do an error check to prevent this from occurring. So here you'll have your variable amount equals to 50. If amount is less than 0, throw an amount that can't be a negative number, right? So that's gonna be your throw. Amount cannot be a negative number waiting for a debugger to disconnect. Error amount cannot be a negative number. So that's what's going to show on your terminal. Here we're performing an error check and creating your own error to prevent the users from doing something we don't want them to do. When this error happens, the JS code will stop running and no additional code will execute. So we don't want our JS scripts to stop completely because of the error. So our next step is to handle the error. We'll want to try it with a try and catch statement. So try and catch. So here you have your function. If it's less than 0, you throw the negative amount, right? So variable amount is equal to -50. Try amount error check amount. So here catch the amount that is 0. Select the handle error. Amount cannot be a negative error. You debug it. Debugger is listening for help. Error handle cannot be a negative number. So here we turn our amount check into a function we could reuse called an amount error check. Now we'll test to see if an error will occur by executing the function in a try block. The error will occur, so now the catch block will execute. We'll set the amount to 0 and print a message that the error has been handled. Our script does not stop and everything continues to function. The finally block contains statements to execute after the try and catch blocks execute, but before the rest of our script resumes, the finally block executes whether or not an exception is thrown. So if an exception is thrown, the statement is in the finally block execute even if no catch block handles the exception. And so in summary, so try a code and try that may produce errors. Catch, the code will handle any errors. Finally, a code that will run after a try catch block regardless of the outcome. Throw a keyword that you can use to throw your own customs errors. So key terms is try, catch, finally, and throw. Remember that. Go ahead and put that on your notes and get ready for the exam, guys. So you guys got this. So let's go hop on to our 10.5, which is now you're gonna be doing the laboratory work. So read the article on the JavaScript info about error handling with try catch first. So go ahead and open this website right here. Here you guys talk. You can see you have a diagram, a state. So first it begins. This is your begin. And then you're gonna have your try, your code, and if it has no errors, then ignore a catch block. If errors occur, ignore the rest of the try, and then execute a catch block. All right. So that's just go ahead and play this. Say start of the run tries. Alert. Again, example shows 1 and 3. Again, start of run tries. Error has occurred. Now that error has occurred, we go over to this side right here, right? Execute catch block. Try catch only works for the runtime errors. So here you'll have alert, and we'll have a runtime error, works asynchronously. So the list goes on, all right? So once you finish reading the article, go ahead and download this lab 5. Execute lab 5 without and it will error out. Write each catch statements and find all the catch and errors of the script. And then the last line, print the statement, congratulations, script ran with all errors handled. When you see this, you caught all the errors in the script. Remember, this lab is try, catch, so don't fix the mistakes in the lab, just catch them with the catch, all right? So go ahead and download the file and work with it, all right? So let's go ahead and talk about SPA versus MPA. So there's 3 approaches for building websites. Number 1, you're gonna have your static HTML traditional. So the oldest way of creating pages, a website can have many HTML pages and have all the content saved in the HTML. Updates are done manually by editing the HTML. No dynamics HTML, JS are used. To display content, JS may be used for visual effects only. This approach is not suitable for creating web apps, and it's only good for small amount websites where the content does not change often and there's no custom content. So number 2, single page applications. Dynamics HTML SPA, the newest approach to create web apps. The web app is made of only one single HTML file and a large amount of JS scripts. Here you'll have your TypeScript and Angular JS or React are used to make all pages update and change. Ajax is used to get data from the web server without page load. So these tools are often used due to the complexity of SPA. So the biggest advantage of this approach is less page loads, right? The browser is responsible for most of the code and not the server. The page have dynamic content created by the web browser using JS, TypeScript, AngularJS, and or React. Examples are Twitter's, Facebook's, and Instagram. So multi-page applications using MVC, dynamic HTML, MPA, the most common way of creating web apps. Try and true method are very popular. The website is made up of many pages, and on the web server, the web server is responsible for most of the code, not the browser. The pages have dynamic content created by the web server. It does not need additional tools such as Angular or TypeScript. So this is all about MVC, multi-page applications. And examples include Citizen and most, Amazon, Stack Overflow, and eBay. So there's no right or wrong approach here. SPA and MPA have both strengths and weaknesses. This program is designed to teach you about MPA, so you have a better skill set of using multiple, skills rather than just having a single page. All right. So further learning, you could just open this page right here and just have a little bit more research about single page applications, when and why you should use them. All right. So go ahead and go over it. So next steps are for front-end web development. So we're coming to close to the JS portion of the class, and it feels like a good point to stop and take a look at back of what you learned and what comes next. So first thing you learn is the fundamentals of front-end web development using HTML, CSS, and JS. You see how all three technologies work together to build pages. You'll learn foundational programming skills in JS that can be applied in many other languages. So we are stopping JS here and not going into object-oriented programming. We'll cover the OOP in the C# course, and all the concepts of OOP learned in CS# will apply to JS. So TypeScript is typically the next step past JS. TypeScript is a popular alternative to vanilla JS, and is currently popular in large web apps. So after TypeScript, AngularJS or React, two front-end frameworks that are popular for building large advanced websites using single-page applications. SPA Design, SPA Web Apps have one HTML page. The entire app is created using JS or TypeScript, and a framework such as AngularJS, TypeScript, AngularJS, and React are beyond the scope of this course in programming, and they are optional tools. You can create any website just HTML, CSS, JS, but mastering these optional tools can save time and land other jobs and teach you how to create SPA web apps. For in the final lessons of this course, we're going to round out your knowledge with jQuery and Bootstrap for your first framework. The remaining course in this program will be all focused on backend web development and the web server, SQL servers, and programming with MPA, MVC design approach. We strongly encourage you to get practice your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript skills. The only way to get better at your web development is to do more web development. All right. So below are some of the links that you could reference and use additional resources or research. Mozilla Developer Network, W3 Schools, JavaScript Info, Google Grasshopper, Learn jQuery, Bootstrap, CodePen.io, University of Helsinki, full stack course, TypeScript, Angular, and here's a great diagram, a foundation of HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Here you learn. You go to SPA, TypeScript, Angular, and React. Here you have your full stack, which is Microsoft, SQL, C#, ASP.NET, and then you have your Linux, SQL, Node.js. All right. So that's it from your professor. Hope you guys have a good day, and stay healthy.